It's my pleasure to present one of the brightest guys, one of the most confident elected officials, and the next U.S. Senator. I'm not going to take long, but I just want to talk about a couple of things. First, I want to begin with just an acknowledgement of how proud I am of the work that's been done by our senior senator, Jim Webb. I'm a surprise candidate for the Senate because I was of the belief and hope that Jim Webb was going to be running again. And I see members of Jim's staff here who ought to also feel very, very proud of the work that they've done. Now that I've decided to do it, let there be no doubt about it. I'm not doing it grudgingly. I'm not doing it 51%. I've stepped away from everything except the Monday morning class I teach in the fall and spring. I'm all in. I've never lost the race, and I'm not going to lose this one. Jobs in the economy. Some of you have heard me tell this story before, but it's a fascinating one, and there's lessons there. As we're thinking about the national economy, and thank God now 13 months of private sector job growth in a row, and this president has turned a plummeting stock market into a plummeting stock market, a shrinking GDP, and you know we've got a long way to go. We're growing and we're thriving, we're adding jobs, we've got a long way to go. So here's a Virginia story, and let's take a lesson out of it. 50 years ago, Virginia's per capita income was in the bottom 15 in the nation. Today it's in the top 7 in the nation. And no state has moved farther than Virginia from back of the pack to front of the pack in the last 50 years. So from an economic standpoint, from an educational standpoint, the Virginia today is dramatically different than the old Dominion of 50 years ago. What did it take to get Virginia to move that far? I would submit to you, and you know, politicians are great oversimplifiers, and I'm an oversimplifier, but I would submit the two things we've really done well and that show a difference between us and the other guys in Virginia is we have massively invested both dollars and brain power in education. Okay? That's the second. And we have become aggressively global, not shrinking from globalization, not shrinking from immigration or the internationalizing of our population. We've embraced it, we've leveraged it, and it has helped us succeed. Education. 50 years ago, we were fighting about whether kids could sit next to each other in class because they had different skin colors. 50 years ago, most of our state colleges didn't let women in or minorities in. 50 years ago, our adults had a higher attainment rate, less than half the national average. That was the Virginia 50 years ago. Today, number 3 in the nation, the percentage of our kids that take and pass AP exams. Our Latino students perform number 1 in the nation. Whether it's expanded pre-K or higher ed opportunities at Nova and George Mason and our other institutions, or workforce development, that whole spectrum from pre-K to post-grad and workforce development, Virginia has finally got it. What Jefferson talked about. Jefferson said progress depends upon the broadest possible diffusion of knowledge among the general population. And it has been this generation of Virginians and largely Democrats, and Democratic leaders, and Democratic school boards, and local elected officials like right here in Fairfax County who have said we're going to power forward by investing in education. Now, the other guy's economic development strategy you see at the national level is pretty simple. If we do big tax giveaways to the wealthiest or to the biggest businesses, that's their only strategy. But in today's world, it's not the tax package, it's the brain power. It's the talent of your society that's the most important thing. It's the most important investment. You've also gotten it, as Democrats, that you embrace diversity. You know, the more diverse your population is, the more you're connected with every corner of the world. Now that scares some people. It makes some people nervous. But we get it. And that's why we've got to continue in Virginia to be the talent society, to try to attract the best talent from around the world, to find a solution at the national level to our immigration issues so our nation can be the talent society. And so those issues of educational investments and being the talent society and being aggressive globalists, that's why the Virginia economy has moved from back of the pack to front of the pack, and that's a lesson I'm going to take when I go to the U.S. Senate. Second, fiscal responsibility. fiscal responsibility. We're in the midst of an incredibly challenging and difficult and tough debate with no easy answers about the size of federal spending and what to spend on and what not to spend on. And I tell you, I got some scar tissue on this one. I didn't, when I ran for governor, want to be the governor who was governor during the worst recession since the 1930s. I hoped I would have drawn a different straw, but that was the straw that I drew. I was in office less than 8 months when we started to see revenue soften, and I ended up making thousands of budget cuts, beginning with my own salary over the course of more than 3 years. We made cuts from October of my first year in office till the last day I was in office. I made big ones and small ones, and popular ones and unpopular ones, and easy ones and hard ones, but I had to figure out how to do it. And I had to figure out how to do it while keeping the economy strong. We were Forbes' most business-friendly state all 4 years I was governor. We had one of the lowest unemployment rates in America all 4 years I was governor. One of the highest median incomes all 4 years I was governor. We did all those things while I was working with these legislators to make cuts. But we didn't shred the safety net. And we didn't cut the things that need to be strong to help your economy improve. So we put more money into pre-K, and we put more money into foster care and mental health reform, and we put more money into public transit. We knew how to do cuts without screwing up the economy or shredding the safety net. Now compare that with what the other guys do. When they talk about fiscal responsibility, what you see is what you're seeing right now in Washington. Dramatic plans to essentially scrap Medicare, as we know it, to shred the safety net that so many of our seniors depend upon. That's the other side's fiscal responsibility strategy. Or, my likely opponent in this race says over and over again, I'm a small government conservative. Small government? I mean, Dick, am I not right? State spending went up more during the Allen administration than virtually anybody who's ever served as governor of Virginia. And then, more to the point, 2001, sworn in as a senator with the biggest surplus in the history of the United States. 6 years later, left office with one of the biggest deficits in the history of the United States. The other side will often talk about fiscal responsibility, but they don't live it. Democrats don't live it. Democrats know how to do it. Finally, balance and civility. You know, this one was one that I don't think I truly appreciated until after I left the governor's office and traveled around the country, all 42 states as DNC chair, spent more time in Washington, spent more time on the road, and I'd travel and I'd come back home and I'd realize, you know what? We got something good in Virginia. We have different points of view, and the legislature can get pretty tough and pretty intense, but we do still listen to each other. I had a lot of challenges with Republican legislators, but I got along with most of them. We weren't, you know, on different points of view about issues. I mean, I got along with them fine. I listened to them. They listened to me. I see this not just among folks in the political class in Virginia, but I also see it especially among our citizens. If you look at the census figures about Virginia from 2000 to 2010, we're fastly internationalizing. Huge percentage of our population growth has been with Latino and AAPI and New Americans. But you know what? We handle it. We get along. We work together. We go to school together. We worship together. We do all kinds of things together. We haven't solved all of our problems, but I'm really proud of the way Virginians understand what it is to be a commonwealth. A commonwealth, not a state. A state is a political jurisdiction. A state is a dotted line, but a commonwealth is something different. A commonwealth means we're all in this together. We hold what we hold in common for everybody. On the other side, you'll see debates about, you know, what is the real Virginia? Or who is a real Virginian? We don't have that debate on our side. We're all Virginians. Every person, we're all Virginians. At the national level, this president came into the worst situation since FDR was inaugurated in March of 1933. Stock market plummeting. Here's a trivia question. If you get in an argument with somebody who says President Obama's not good for business, ask them this. If you put $1 in the stock market the day George Bush was inaugurated president, what was it worth when he walked out of office? 78 cents. 78 cents. 8 years. Went down by 22%. If you put $1 in the stock market, and why didn't I put $1 in the stock market the day that Barack Obama was elected president? What's it worth today? Almost $1.50. Almost $1.50. Starting at the end of the Bush administration, lost jobs 22 months in a row. Now we gained jobs 13 months in a row. GDP was shrinking. GDP is growing. And how about the Democrats as a national security party, folks? Couldn't figure out how to lead us in this complex world with the complex security tasks we have. But since this president has come into office, we have stopped one war. We've taken out the leadership of Al-Qaeda, not just Osama bin Laden, but nearly the entire leadership of Al-Qaeda. And starting this summer, we'll start the drawdown on the war in Afghanistan. The Democrats are a national security party. That's why President I'm running because I'm excited to win and I'm excited to serve, but I'm also running because I think this is going to be a good couple of years for us. Now, we saw that polling is an indication this morning that it's not going to be a good couple of years by magic. It's going to be a good couple of years if we do what we know how to do. And I know this about you. You know, I know so many of you in this room, but there's a lot of people in here that I don't know personally, but I know some things about you. And that one of the things I know about you is you don't mind tough. You don't mind hard work. We Democrats rely so heavily on volunteers. The other guys often rely on, paid canvassers and things like that. We rely on volunteers. We don't mind hard work. We don't mind tough elections. We don't mind rolling our sleeves up and getting our hands dirty. We're going to have to do that. If we're going to hold on to the Senate, and if we're going to pick up seats in the House, we're going to have to do that. And then we're going to have to build on that 11 work that we're going to do to be successful in 12. In fact, Virginia is the only battleground state, true battleground state in the country that has massive elections all over the state in 2011. So let's do this. Let's use these elections in 2011 for these great candidates that we met tonight at the local level and for House and Senate races. Let's use them. Let's use them to win, to advance our Senate majority, to pick up House seats, but let's also use them to build a foundation so that come 2012 we can surprise the country and cement our status as the critical battleground state in America. We're only there because you've made us that critical battleground state. We've gone from political irrelevancy to political battleground because of you. I hope you feel proud about it. I feel proud.